Welcome to our shooting range. Come in, come in. So this is our indoor shooting range. The building is a previous warehouse for storing gunpowder and pyrotechnical stuff. So it's very well built. It's on a secluded area. And I think this is like 12, 13 meters wide and about 30 meters long. So you can shoot with almost anything in here, but it's a bit limited space. Ballistically speaking, this is a very safe shooting range, at least for the people outside, because everything is concrete. The walls are very thick. The previous windows we actually cemented over, so behind this plank there are bricks and mortar. And the roof, you can also see that it's covered first with these concrete slabs and then a normal roof. So even if you have an accident and if you shoot straight up or in the wall, the bullets will not penetrate on the outside. When we set up this range, we actually did a test. We used the same bricks as here, and we shot them with an AK, we shot them with an AR, and one bullet will definitely not make it through. Now the backstop, we overdid. When we set up this range, we did not know how many rounds we will shoot and what kind of calibers, so we just played it safe and overdid it. So what you see here, the first row are essentially just car tires filled with loose sand. This is actually excellent at stopping bullets, but this is not all. We have, I would say, 80 centimeters up to a meter of material in the back. Again, loose sand that's piled up to this height. When we did the first renovation of this front wall, we actually tore it down, and what we found out surprised us. Just one row of these tires filled with loose sand stopped everything. There was no single round that was able to penetrate this, even with multiple rounds at the same point. And we shoot here with 308, with 7.62 by 54R, even some bigger calibers. I think the biggest one that we shot here was 328 Lapua, which is crazy. So how and why does this work? Well, the tire is very flexible, and when the bullet hits it, it opens up and then closes back down. So there are no big holes in the tire. Obviously, the bullet then hits the sand, vaporizes it, or makes it into a powder. But the other loose sand will then kind of, what's the word? It will trickle down. It will move to this position, because if you imagine like a round hits here, makes a lot of damage in the sand and leaves a bit of a void. And the other sand just trickles down and fills that void. So even if you shoot round after round in the same place, you will not make a hole through it. Now there is one thing that we were warned at the beginning of making the shooting range, and I would also like to repeat this warning, but I'm not sure if it's true. Essentially, if you shoot at the empty tires, there is a chance that the bullet or a part of a bullet can deviate and come back towards you. How could that hypothetically happen? Is that a lot of tires still have steel bands inside for the structural integrity, and if you shoot it at a certain angle, the bullet can kind of guide itself through those strands and, I guess, come back. So we try to not shoot at empty tires. Sometimes we use it as an added backstop on certain walls. For example, here we have empty tires just in case if someone accidentally shoots in this direction and he hits concrete, it's better to have an empty tire in front of it so you don't get ricochets from the concrete back to yourself. Most of these tires here are empty, and we use them to shoot at it with a shotgun. As you can see here, we put clay pigeons on it and have different kind of competitions. As long as you have iPro, you are good. Most of the burst shot gets stopped by the tire. Maybe sometimes you get a pellet back, but it's almost no energy. though it could be dangerous if it hits you in the eye. So eye pro always. The double stack over here is filled with sand. So this gives us a possibility of 2 shooting directions. So you can shoot here up to 180 degrees in this side from whichever part of the shooting range you want. This gives us extra flexibility for different kind of scenarios, for competitions, trainings, and so on. Now here we have one problem that happens if you put targets directly on the tires. I don't know why, but it's like human psychology. Everyone puts the target over here at their kind of height. It's easy to see and just convenient. And because everyone put it on the same place, people shot it at center mass and they destroyed the tire here. Now this is bad and this will have to be repaired. But as long as you're moving the targets from different places on the tires, this should not happen. And this is our favorite sponsor. These are screens, covers, whatever you want to call them. Essentially why we use these is to set up a stage. It can be for training, competition, technical shooting, or just our filming. A mandatory VTAC barricade. But Giga, what's the buzzing sound that we hear all the time? Well, we have to use aggregate.
Aggregate. A generator.
Oh, generator, yes! Because we're so far away from the electrical grid and for the nearest buildings, we have to use a generator. We have a gas-powered and a diesel-powered generator. You can hear it here. Come with me. As you can see, it's a bit loud, so that's why we put it outside. We have a cable that runs through the wall here and powers all of the lights inside. That's why in some of our videos you can hear the noise in the background. I'm sorry, but it is what it is. Here we have different switches for different lights. And these red ones are the ventilation. If you have an indoor shooting range, you need to have a good ventilation because ammunition, primers, they contain certain chemicals that have lead in it. It's not just the lead in the bullet. Actually, the lead in the bullet usually is not a problem because it stays in that form, in a solid form. The problem is that a lot of primers, they use different kind of chemical compounds that contain lead. Here we have the staging area where we have more gear, and that's the firing line. So this is one point of fresh air, and if there's a lot of shooters and if we shoot a lot, we also sometimes open the door, so there's another ingress of fresh air. And then this air is pulled towards the targets. And all of this smoke and contaminated air gets sucked outside with this industrial fan. And here in the corner we have varnostna zona. It's the safety zone. Essentially here you can
basically safely manipulate your gun.
Exactly. The idea is that here you can safely manipulate with your firearms in this direction, but there's no ammunition allowed in this area. So occasionally when we come here, sometimes there's a new marking on the ceiling. This actually happens very rarely. Someone has an accident, maybe shoots too fast or whatever, and a bullet or fragment strikes the ceiling. We had no injuries, no problems with ricochets, but sometimes this happens. But if you would calculate how many years we shoot here, how many people shoot here, and how many million rounds are in that berm, that's not really an issue. I see we get a lot of comments of people asking us if we're not afraid of bullets bouncing back from the tires, and the short answer is no. We shot millions and millions of rounds here, and there was no incident. What happens is, when you're shooting at certain points here, maybe you stack bullets, bullet on a bullet, or if you shoot at the part of the tire and the bullet deflects, you can see that it catches the bullet in this kind of way. So sometimes it does happen that a bullet like this fired falls down here, or we even had cases where the bullet was just like flung like this. But essentially this is not from the bullet flying in and then coming back. Usually this is an already fired bullet that was stuck in the tire, and you shoot next to it and that one falls out. So there's no real danger. As long as you have tires filled with loose sand, we never had problems, and we even shoot at these tires at very close distance. To further reduce the lead contamination in this shooting range, we do not allow the use of metal targets. So we only use things like this, which is rubber target, and when it gets hit, it gets knocked down. The problem with steel targets would be that bullets hit it and fragment and create a lot of lead dust. And when we have to clean the range, we do not just sweep it, because they don't just lift up the dust. We actually use this advanced water cleaner suction vacuum thingy that first wets the floor, scrubs it, and then sucks the water up in this container over here, and you just get clean floors.
So we are very happy to be a part of this shooting club. They're just a bunch of very good guys, which we like to hang out and shoot and just compete and enjoy ourselves on the range that we have here.